Well, it is officially the end of the lawn care season here in the northern U.S. Ha, just kidding. Look at all the leaves in the trees yet. I have to deal with all those. But this does bring us to the end of my master plan series. So this series all started with this list written on cardboard. And here, number one, keep what you have looking good. I'm going to cross that out. It is not in my DNA not to do that. Number two was finish what you started. So I had some flower beds that were not done. Knock those babies out, cross that off. In-ground irrigation, we got that sucker. One of the keystones to my master plan was the irrigation system, which has gone extremely well. I'm incredibly happy with it. Um, 40 sprinkler heads in total, 6 zones. And here's one of the finishing touches. I put it on here with my uh, 3 remote zone valves. So I was wondering how I was going to protect that. This stone here, fake rock, I purchased on Amazon here, protects these things. The biggest problem with just leaving it uncovered is obviously rain, whatever. They're all made to stay wet, so that's not a huge deal. The biggest thing is this PVC exposed to the sun. The UV does decay it, and you'll get cracking in that over time. So don't want that to happen. Of course, there's the control wiring and stuff in there, which is also nice to keep that protected. I had some serious issues with my trenching um, eroding. This is a pretty good slope here. And this trench in particular, after a big rain, completely emptied out the dirt at the bottom here. The good news is going into winter here, I got enough grass to grow on these old trenches. It's not perfect, but there's enough grass in there to prevent erosion, so that I'm happy about that. That's a win. And I think next year with water and fertilizer, that stuff will thicken up pretty good. Completion, sand cap leveling, maybe too successfully in my renovation areas. Probably went a little nuts with the sand in the front yard, but that's done. And renovation. It is almost the end of October here, and things are looking pretty amazing. We're actually a bit behind on our colors, probably a week or so, but things still look really nice here for being late October. We are starting to get freezing temperatures at night, which is good and bad. That crisp feeling in the air I like. The sad news is my renovations here, I got to start it a bit late on the additions I made. So if we look in here closely, see, these are some of the areas I was not getting germination. I covered with the peat moss, and I did get germination in here. So there's a bunch of little bluegrass seedlings in here. The trouble is our heat is gone now, so these aren't going to grow anymore this year. I hope they survive the winter, but they may not. I'll have to reseed in spring. So you can see some of the area here that did germinate before, that was getting enough water and seed to soil contact before I did the peat moss. Looks really good. I've got no doubt that will survive the winter. But, this spot doesn't look so good. So I will have to say I do not recommend putting your bluegrass seed down and then just pure sand on top of it. Not necessarily a recipe for success. It can work. So in the front yard, that is what I did. And you can see a large part of it looks quite good. But in the areas where the grass was, or the sand got deeper with the leveling process, it really struggled. Now, part of that I could have watered a lot more, I believe, when it was hot. Just the sand drained so quick, and I knew it, but for some reason I just wasn't. I thought I was watering enough, but obviously I was not. If we look at the germination triangle, I don't think it had enough water. So in these areas, I did add peat moss. We got some fairly big rain after that, and it washed away. This is a bit of a slope here. But even within this big bare area, you can see I do have germination now, but it was so late in the game that, again, it didn't have a chance to mature and fill in like these other areas. So I'm hopeful that these little seedlings may make it through winter. Bluegrass is one of the cold hardiest grasses there is. But I'm just going to keep hitting it with fertilizer and water. Come spring, I will overseed for sure, and maybe throw some peat moss on top in the other areas. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. We have made progress. We've got all that dirty, fine fescue out of here, and we're compete. We are now completely Kentucky bluegrass. So we'll see how this goes. But it is living up to its reputation that it's a little finicky. If I had ryegrass in this mixture, I'm for sure this would be much thicker than it is now. Same story over here on the edge of the cul-de-sac. I just got started a bit late. You can see there's pretty good germination here. I started watering more about halfway through, and again, there's pretty uniform germination here for Kentucky bluegrass. It's just I ran out of time and ran out of heat to get this stuff matured up and thickened up. So I think it's been a month since I planted this. I knew I was cutting it close. Probably a month and a couple weeks, actually. But I lost a few weeks on the front end there because I was not watering enough, and it didn't germinate for me right at the front end. So if you live in the northern U.S. here, you know, nature rules all just like everywhere, and I missed my window a bit. But, you can see in this area where I was watering enough and I got it in early enough, things are looking pretty good here for a month and a half, basically, of bluegrass growth. So I'm very hopeful that this stuff next year uh, will be awesome. So I just gave you the update on that. That is done. So that takes us to the end of my list for the master plan.